Pioneer viewers, we continue to bring you all the developments regarding the Russia-Ukraine war. As you know, the war continues, and while the parties continue their mutual attacks, new situation emerge in line with the developments. Moscow and Kiev authorities continue to work intensively, and the international community and political authorities continue to follow the war closely. The counterattacks of the Ukrainian army leave the Russian army in a very difficult situation. The Ukrainian army, which does not give the Russian army the opportunity to recover, has increased the dose of the attacks in recent days. The Moscow administration, on the other hand, is losing motivation due to the news coming from the front line. Moreover, the Kremlin is experiencing hectic days due to the cabinet to be announced by the Russian President Vladimir Putin in the coming days. The tense political environment is also affecting Moscow's war performance. Russia's plan for a full-scale invasion of Ukraine is not going as expected. Faced with the fierce defense of the Ukrainian army, Russian troops have failed to achieve their goals in the war that has been going on for more than 2 years. Throughout the war, Russian troops who continued their attacks against Ukraine with the various propaganda faced counterattacks by the Ukrainian army. And the Ukrainian army continues to destroy Russian troops with strong attacks in recent days. The news coming from Moscow shows that the Russian army is facing a great shortage of ammunition. In addition, conscription initiatives in Russia are also facing public outcry. A significant part of the Russian population is dissatisfied with the Moscow's war management. Families are reacting strongly to the fact that soldiers who have finished their military services are not sent home. Mobilization orders and the war conditions are not human. In the past few days, a remarkable protest has been on the agenda in Russia. In the light of the latest developments, we can say that the Kremlin administration is going through very stressful days. Now, if you're ready, let's examine the latest developments together. As the Pioneer team, we continue to inform you about the developments in Russia-Ukraine war. So don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so that you don't miss our daily reports and explanations. I also read all of your comments on our videos and I respond to them personally. So please continue to share your ideas about our content in the comments. Tell us in the comments what content you would like to see on the Pioneer channel. Let's start if you are ready, the Pioneer reports. So, for a long time, there have been public reactions against the military draft law that has been on the agenda in Russia. The military draft law, which has not brought to the agenda before the elections in Russia and passed over to avoid public reaction, was brought to the agenda again. The fact that the people of Russia have to live with the problems caused by the war creates unrest. The deteriorating economy and social problems have a negative impact on the living standards of the people. And for this reason, the voice of social opposition is increasing day by day. Harsh reactions against the social opposition prevent people from organizing a protest or reaction. Even a small protest is quickly and harshly prevented. In addition, those who criticize the government are punished with heavy penalties. As such, the opportunities for the public protest remain limited and small. An event that took place in recent days has caused important debates on Russia's agenda. The vast majority of Russians think that the war was caused by Putin's ambitions, and for this reason, they don't want to take on any obligations of the war. Especially many young people left the country after the start of the war to avoid being drafted. The young people who stayed in the country are looking for ways to avoid military services. A 24-year-old from the Krasnoyarsk region was recently called up for military service. The young man set himself on fire outside an army registration office in St. Petersburg. The young man who carried out his protest by setting himself on fire is in a serious condition. He was taken to the Dzhanilizde Research Institute of Emergency Medicine and was taken to intensive care around midnight. According to local sources, the man who describes himself as a dancer, musician, and performer on his social media profiles has had small acting roles and appeared in major advertising campaigns. The incredible act was reportedly in protest against Putin's plan to recruit more Russian men to fight in the war in Ukraine. The young man reportedly suffered burn damage to a large part of his body after setting himself on fire, and it is stated that the treatment of the protester is still ongoing. Problems in the Russian army, especially those stemming from the lack of personnel, have been increasing recently. There is a known fact that military personnel in the Russian army have experienced a serious loss of motivation. In recent days, both personal problems and the ammunition shortages have been increasing in the Russian army. Russia's top defense official said that Russia needs to increase the number and quality of its weapons going to Ukraine in order to maintain Moscow's pressure on Ukraine's defense lines ahead of a possible summer offensive expected to begin in the coming weeks. It is necessary to increase the volume and quality of weapons and military equipment supplied to the troops to maintain the necessary pace of offensives and ensure the build-up of combat power of the groups of orchard troops for the further actions, Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu said, and according to the comments published by the Moscow Diatate. So, in the depth of the third year of the all-out war in Ukraine, both Russia and Ukraine continue to use their weapons, ammunition, and stockpiles of equipment. Kiev relies heavily on Western military aid to equip its military forces and increase its stockpile. Russia has targeted Kiev's defense industry with long-range strikes, but without success. Fears over the flow of military aid to Ukraine have temporarily eased following the recent announcement of the U.S. aid packages. President Joe Biden signed a major military aid packages for Ukraine to replenish Kiev's arsenals. Moscow has poured funds into its defense ministry and industry, increasing military spending and sought to replenish the stockpiles lost in Ukraine's battlefields. The Ukrainian army's strategic offensives, however, has disturbed Moscow's plans. Moscow is trying to accelerate its military production, which it had planned to continue under the current conditions due to the disruption of its plans. The Ukrainian army has been successful in its strategic offensives, hitting the Russian army's plans and production facilities. In the coming days, the Ukrainian army is expected to carry out more extensive operations. With the arrival of the summer season, the summer counteroffensive organized last year is expected to be organized this year as well. It is stated that the Ukrainian army, which did not get what it wanted last year, wants to achieve its goal this year. But how do you assess the situation of the Russian army? Do you think the Ukrainian army is successfully completing strategic operations? And what do you think about the ammunition problem in the Russian army is facing? And do you think the protest of the Russian protester who set himself on fire will strengthen the opposition in Russia? You know that we care about your opinion, so please share it with us.